take your life seriously. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Limits podcast with me, Mark Conrad, and this man,
Ricky Bellingham.
I thought you weren't going to tell me your name then. Well done. Well done. Well, that was a good start. Usually we cock up the intro, but this time we got it right. Ricky, what?
He says usually we cock it up. He means usually I cock up the intro.
Yeah, usually it is you.
Okay?
I'm more of a
It's me.
professional.
He's a professional.
Now, subject for the day.
Yes.
What is it, please?
We're going to talk about purpose. Can be a vast subject. We do get a lot of questions on motivation, and we had a conversation this morning and we just said about how do you stay motivated. And we both, I think, come to the same agreement is motivation runs out sometimes, and what's behind that really is purpose. So I feel like purpose will be a good
topic for us to talk about now. Because, well, I'm going to talk for myself here.
Okay.
I'm not the smartest bloke in the world, and I'm not going to pretend that I am.
Yes.
So I decided that I am going to read what purpose is after I Googled it, just so that you listeners, if you don't quite understand it, will have a better understanding of it now. So the internet says that purpose is described as the reason or aim behind something. It gives a direction and a meaning to actions, decisions, and goals, providing a sense of fulfillment and motivation. People often seek to discover or define their purpose in life to find greater satisfaction and a sense of belonging. It can vary from person to person and could involve career aspirations, personal growth, relationships, or contributing to society in meaningful ways. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think basic terms, that was very long-winded. But I think for basic terms, it's just your why. We talked about it before, isn't it?
I think so.
Of why are you doing something, should we say? So what's behind that motivation of a task? It could be in career, it could be in business, or sports, like myself.
So what's the purpose of this podcast?
Yes.
Right? Why are we doing it? To motivate, to inspire, to answer questions, to hopefully share some useful knowledge and provide value to the listeners. That's a couple of our whys. That's the purpose, the reason why we started doing this, right?
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what we said right at the start is sometimes people and myself have made this mistake where I would rely too much on motivation. So maybe I would listen to some kind of motivational thing in the morning to get me up and out of bed. And I do think there's power in that, but I think it only lasts for a certain amount of time. Whereas if, for an example, the reason you're getting up is because you want to, achieve this goal, which in the long term is going to make you a better father for your kids because you're going to achieve this goal. That is a much more powerful reason than just the actual quick blast of motivation, I feel, in the morning.
So let's get specific with this then, right? I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. I want to know what your purpose is for training jiu-jitsu, because we've talked and you want to earn your black belt and become a world champion, right?
Yeah.
So why?
Okay, so as I said at the start, it could be because you just want to get good at what it is, because it's such, when you first try BJJ, I feel like it feels almost like they've got like a superpower, because it feels they can do stuff that's so far out your reach. Mm-hmm. So at the start, it was for that reason. So that could be my why. But as I said, that would be only short term. So that would last about 2 years into it, and I started to realize that actually it's not about the outcome. And even world champion black belt, if I don't exceed, if I never get there, the person that I've become on that way is much more powerful. And now I feel like my purpose has shifted more towards, because I've seen the difference it's had in my life, mm-hmm. And what it's done for me and how it's helped me on and off the mat. But also I get to see that now because I've been in it for quite some time, is what it does to other people as well. So as well as helping me, I feel like an example, we've got a young perp about now. Well, I say young, he's probably like 25, 26.
That's young.
That's young. That's young, yeah, compared to us. But I remember him being 19, coming in at white belt. His mom used to drop him in. He used to come in his gi because, probably didn't want to get changed in front of everyone. Really quiet lad, I would say nerdy. Do you know what I mean? With that character. And now he's at the stage where he's teaching. He's a lot more confident in himself. And I just see that I think that's from BJJ. So I think my purpose now is to sort of pass that on to other people and help them sort of the lessons I've gleaned from my journey in BJJ, which is to become a good black belt. But it's, as I said, it's the reasons why. Why do you want to become a good black belt? Well, because you learn how to overcome adversity. You learn how to sort of, work at something for so long. It's a 10-year goal. So it's you've got to start, okay, I'm going to set myself for 10 years, 2 hours a week or whatever it is, 4 hours a week, I'm going to do this. It's, it teaches you how to think long term. It teaches you that it's never going to be easy and you got to go there with an injury or whatever it's going to be. And it's a bit like life itself. It's never going to be like, oh, it's smooth, I'm doing really well, life's great. There's going to be something that comes and kicks you in the ass because, all of us are going to get ill and all of us are going to die, or unfortunately one of our parents or friends is going to, and I feel like it teaches you those lessons. So now my purpose has shifted less about myself and more about spreading that to the community and other people. Whereas I feel like if it was just for me, it would run out. I would think I would get a bit bored and, because it's hard. It's hard to do it all the time. So I think having a purpose where you sort of shifted it across to other people and bringing that in, it is motivation. It is motivation. Yeah. So let's fire it over to you. So I know it's hard because you're primarily not just in sports, but I do see you as, you have a lot of people that you motivate, I would say, definitely. And, what's your purpose in that? Is it for the motivation, because you must get that question all the time. How do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated? Do you think that's linked to purpose? If it is, how do you think about that? And also, what is your purpose if you could name it? And I know it's so vast because you're a father, you're a businessman, you're all this kind of stuff.
See, I don't know if I've maybe cracked the code with this.
Okay.
Because I've felt for a long time like my purpose has always been to work daily towards becoming the best version of myself that I can be. Nice. And that spreads across as a husband, a father, an athlete, someone in, an employee, if I was an employee, a friend, whatever, a member of society. It just feels, and it has for a long time, like my purpose has always been to just do a little bit to get better every day at my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, my self-education, my personal development, my jiu-jitsu, whatever it is that I'm involved in, that the purpose always seems to be, and I learned this concept a long time ago on a self-development course, and I think it's a Japanese philosophy called it's Kaizen, which means constant and never-ending improvement. I think that's the purpose for most people, is to just get the very, you want to get to the end of your life, right? Be 101, that's my goal. Laying in bed somewhere, surrounded by my family, and go, yeah, I did it. I squeezed everything I could out of that little stint on Earth, and I did what I could, contributed what I could, achieved everything that I set out to and wanted to. Not everything, but as much of it as I could. And that's the purpose, I think, on a big scale, is to do as much as you can while you're here and you're healthy and you enjoy the ride.
I think you're right, but I do think you underestimate you have a bigger, wider impact on people that see you doing that. You're like, I think your purpose, like you obviously know what your purpose is, but for me, I feel like that you doing that, it influences a lot of people's decisions. Like you naturally a motivating character anyway, because I can't come with you in the morning and say, oh, I've got a sore fucking thumb today because I ate yesterday and I don't want to train today. I think you're naturally just a motivating character. So I feel like your purpose as well as working on yourself, you are, by doing that, helping other people to push themselves as well. Do you find that?
That's the point of it all, though, isn't it? Like, I think as you get older, it's almost like phases, I feel, in life. Excuse me. And you get to a point where it doesn't matter what you've achieved, doesn't matter, what cars you're driving, what homes you own, what holidays you go on. It's all a little bit empty unless you're contributing to other people and giving back and then helping them along their journey. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've got there a lot quicker than some people because of my injuries.
Yeah.
I think if I was still able-bodied, it would take me to maybe I was 60 to have that epiphany and go, this is great achieving all these things, but I need to pass this on to the next person or as many. That's why I'm on social media like daily, pushing out. So that's what we're doing this for. Yeah. That's why me and you are doing all this content creation now is contribution. You said it just now about giving back to the next generation in BJJ. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, and everyone will be different, but that's where the fulfillment aspect comes. And you might have been like this as well. And I really, really, really hope this doesn't happen to you, but it's happened to me in the past. Mm-hmm. When you go and you get that gold medal and you're a world champion, you're a black belt.
Yeah.
I hope it's everything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Because I've done stuff before where I've gone out and I've won gold medals and I achieved this and it just feels empty.
Yeah, I've got
And you're like, is that it? Like, what was the point?
And I do think that's the reason why I've started to relook at it's my goal to achieve that. But I think now it's more of a goal of mine is to spread the awareness and have that tied to, helping the community, which in turn will keep me in the gym. Mm-hmm. And that sort of will keep me motivated because I do know, for one, I might not even make it to that gold medal. And let's say if I do, you're right, most of my gold medals I've got now are just in the drawer at home. Right. Once you got them, you just
throw them in the drawer, let them gather dust.
That's it. You don't really see them again. So I think after winning for a few times, you're right, the actual winning itself, obviously you still aim for that goal and you want to win. But as I said right at the start, it's the person that you becoming on that way. Because no matter what, me competing this much is going to make me a better black belt. So that's. But now I think I'm tying it more into the community, and sort of giving back that way. And I do think that's easier than being motivated for yourself instead of me thinking, oh, I want this because I want to win this for me. I think it's part of the reason why a lot of people have the epiphany. I don't know if you did, but I did when I had my children, when I first had my boy. Is you're no longer thinking about yourself as much and about how you can do this in life or whatever. You're thinking, your purpose almost shifts. And it's like, now you're a father. So you've got that responsibility and that purpose and that more guiding and can shape your behavior a little bit.
This is what I was saying earlier. You might have a different purpose in different areas of your life, but where I feel it feels good for me is that by trying to become the best version of myself all the time, like constant never-ending improvement, then that will make me a better father and a better athlete and a better friend. So it kind of permeates into all those areas. Both, but I find it interesting what you said earlier, about how you feel like your purpose has changed. I think that's quite important as well. Like, I mean, if I went back a couple of years, I don't think I'd be having these conversations. If someone said to me 20 years ago, what's your purpose in life? I'd be like, what are you talking about? I just think it's people just, their mindset changes at different points of their journey. And until you discover this, it's not even almost, I mean, you can go to a 60-year-old now and say, like, what's your purpose in life? They'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You lunatic. I'm just trying to do my job, get some money, pay the bills and go on holiday once a year.
Yeah.
I think if you're lucky enough to discover your purpose early on in life, the rest of your life seems to have a lot more juice to it.
Yeah,
because you know where you're going, what you're aiming for. Every decision you make is kind of built around that purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you want to, I'm going to go back to you again, man. I'm just going to use this as an example. As a gold medal, world champion, black belt in jiu-jitsu. If you're like deep into that journey and then someone's like, do you want to come to Vegas for the weekend and eat burgers for the next 6 weeks? You can be like, well, no, that doesn't align with my purpose and my goal or even your values.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll shift in line with your purpose. Yeah. But I just think I think, and this is not for everybody, right? But I think people that know their purpose earlier on in life they seem to be happier because they know they're working towards something worthwhile and that's fulfilling to them.
Yeah.
And fulfillment's the ultimate goal. I mean, everyone talks about finding happiness. I think happiness is fulfillment and purpose.
I think you're right, and I think you spot on there where you said it's the almost like the compass, we call it, guiding light. So your purpose is there. It's going to help you sort of make all your decisions. I do think it's, everyone's not always lucky to consciously understand their purpose, but sometimes they'll be given one from a job, for example. So you could be doing just a 9 to 5 and that could be your purpose for that day. I think it's part of the reason why sometimes what you find in people that retire is they'll fade away pretty quick after they retire, because they sort of lose that purpose.
Yeah.
Which is sad to see. And even you say it's not for everyone, I think it should be for everyone to find. And it hasn't got to be some kind of like, I want to be this life-saving whatever person. It can be something as simple as, I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good person. And that will shift your whole thought pattern of, okay, can I eat shit every day? Can I watch TV and do nothing all day? Well, no, if I want to be a good person, I've got to have good energy. And so I think it could be something small that you could set as your purpose. It hasn't got to be this like massive goal of achieving this thing, because it'll be individual. Everyone's got different stuff, and it will change as well. The further you go on, it seems like it will change and shift. But having it, I think, is a must. There's a book I read when I first started to get into, when I say read, I don't read that many books. I listen to a lot of it via Audible. So sometimes when I say I've read a lot of books, I haven't. Okay, I've listened to.
No
a
one's
lot
got
of
time
books.
to read the old school way anymore.
No, I take notes during it. Man's Search for Meaning.
Viktor Frankl.
That book there. That was, he was a doctor in the camps, and he said he could see when they sort of lost purpose, lost meaning, they would die pretty quick, which is super sad, but you see it as well. I do think it's a reason why some old people, they get like pets and all that kind of stuff, because that's their purpose. Then they're shifting from, okay, they've not got the children, they've moved away, now I need something to look after, I need a purpose. So I think it's really important to have that.
My nan said that actually like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
When I went to visit her with her dog.
Yeah.
A little dog's running around, and my nan's going to be 93
Nice.
Monday.
Wow,
on
that's
Monday.
awesome.
And she says, like, I don't know what I do with this little dog. She walks it 4 or 5 times a day around the home she's in. And that gives her a purpose to get out of bed in the morning, because she's like, I've got to get up to look after Willow.
Yeah.
And if she didn't have that little dog, she'd just be like, well, what am I getting up for? Breakfast, sit in my room watching Homes Under the Hammer till lunchtime. So it can be found in many different places. But here's a question. Like, how do you find your purpose?
I think what it starts with is you just try a lot of things. And it sounds so weird, because like if you would have asked me 10 years ago, okay, every day you will be going into a gym and you'll be cuddling men on the floor, they will sweat, I'll be like, no way, what are you talking about? I will not be doing that. Okay, but I tried BJJ, and I tried it when I didn't, like at first when my friend said to me, do you want to give it a go? And I looked at it and I was like, that is very close to another human. I don't know if I want to be that close to somebody sweating all over me. But I said, do you know what? I'll give it a try. Okay. And the same with like sort of the army thing that I did. Okay. And I'm doing still, is I have to give different job roles in that army experience. I was anything from a machine gunner to PTI, and now sports. So you've got to try a lot of things. So I think finding it can be hard, and just don't give yourself a hard time about it. You can't be like, I'm looking for this thing, where is it? Just try a lot of things. You got to get on with day-to-day stuff anyway, normal work, normal job stuff, normal life stuff, like we've all got to do. But on the side of that, you're trying different things and you're asking yourself questions. And as I said, sometimes it can be just being a better person. That could be your purpose if you haven't got kids, or a better father, or whatever. How would you say a way you could sort of find it?
Well, first of all, I think me personally, I was very lucky. I didn't know it consciously back then, but the reason I joined the Royal Marines, it wasn't because I thought I was fulfilling my purpose. It's because I wanted to see if I had what it took, if I could be a much better version of myself than I was by the time I got to the end. I also just had this, like, I don't want to call it a calling as such, but I just wanted to help people.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think you join the military, especially something like the Royal Marines or something, because you want to run around the planet shooting people. It's not that. Like, I always thought in myself, I want to help. I want to fight for people that can't fight for themselves, right? And go into places where people are getting bullied and get rid of the bullies. You know what I mean? And give that person a better quality of life. So I never looked at it from that perspective of what's my purpose. Oh, I want to be the best version of myself and help people. I just naturally gravitated towards the Marines because I think that fulfilled my purpose subconsciously without me even knowing it. But as I've gotten older, we said it earlier, like sometimes it changes. I've got into self-development, personal development. I read books that you do, listen to books. Now I'm aware that if you're struggling, you have to consciously take the time. And it could take a day, it could take a month, it could take a year, but you've got to sit down there and do some work on yourself. Like, figure out what your values are, figure out what you love doing, figure out what lights you up, but also helps other people. And then that's going to pretty much put you on a decent path to discovering what your purpose is. I think this is why, like, when I was injured, I dived so heavily into like fundraising and stuff. So many people helped me, helped my family, raised money, supported us when we needed it. It then felt like, you go through that little, why did this happen to me? What was, you get the anger phase out the way. Then you're like, okay, what's the spiritual meaning behind all this? And it's like, okay, I survived this for a reason, for a purpose. The purpose and the reason is to go out there and to do X, Y, and Z to help this person, that person, and the other person.
To give back now.
Yeah, and
nice.
It's bizarre when I look back at my life. It kind of works in 10-year chunks. Yeah. So I did 10 years in the Royal Marines fulfilling one purpose, 10 years in the charity world fulfilling another purpose. Now I'm spending my time in what I'm trying to do is build businesses that help people. We were talking yesterday about creating courses, resilience courses to help people. It seems like the next 10 years of my life are focused towards taking everything that I've learned and putting it into books and courses and all this stuff, and physical and digital, to help people that are struggling. Because I get a lot of people on social media. You saw some of it when we put the, ask us a question on Facebook earlier. You saw a lot of the people saying, Mark, I really need your help. I'm in a bad place. That's just what you see. You should see my DMs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it almost feels like my purpose has shifted slightly now. Yeah. Again, for the next 10 years.
But then I do think that's what's going to get you up early in the morning. That's what's going to, as we're going back to that like motivational thing as we talked about before, is because a lot of the questions as well are, how do you stay motivated? Well, you've got that purpose behind you now. You know that you're getting up not just for yourself, but for your community that you're building, and giving back to that. That's going to be your purpose, which is going to keep you motivated as well.
Yeah.
A random one, because about the soldiering thing and about how my kid said to me the other day, I don't know where it comes from. Is it a thing that's in just culture in general? They just feel like, if you're in the army. One of my kids was like, Dad, how many people have you killed? And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know where. And they're only 6 and 8. But it must be a cultural thing because they're only young to sort of pick up that.
Call of Duty
games like that.
But this is what I mean. Like, because people think, if you join, and I get very little hate online. Yeah. But the hate that I have had about being a soldier or a former soldier is exactly that. Yeah. You're a murderer, and I'm like, no, I'm not, dude. I joined the military to help people, not to just, but sometimes that can be part of the job. Yeah. And that when you sign up.
That's true. Yeah, I wish people could see that other side of it though, because it's like 99.9%. You're helping people. And then that 0.1% is when it comes into conflict.
Yeah, but bad news sells, right?
That's true. That's true, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they do cover in the media when, I'm just trying to think of examples. There was hurricane relief, Ebola stuff. There was even down in Cornwall when, I think it was Boscastle, when that flooded years ago. You had the army down there filling sandbags. Yeah. All the humanitarian disaster relief stuff. There was... what is it called? When that sniper shot like a speedboat full of drugs, like boosting along the channel somewhere. Yeah. Stopping all,
There's so much good at there as well.
Doing good work, helping people too. Even through COVID, like military were in the vaccination centres. Yeah. Like helping out with that. you know, that they do a lot of humanitarian disaster relief and crisis work, but
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
I
get
suppose you don't
highlighted as
see
much
that on
as
Call of Duty.
No, yeah, you
Call
know,
of Duty wouldn't be so fun if you're filling sandbags.
yeah. What's your next mission? Fill some sandbags.
Fill
There's
some
a
sandbags,
flooded
the
village in
flood's coming.
Cornwall.
Yeah, that ain't gonna sell, is it?
No, not at all.
Right, we're coming up to the half an hour mark, so we can take a little bit of a break, and we'll
Okay.
come back and we'll finish up.
Go.
Okay, we're back from our break. Why we had a break? Just taking the mick at me because I tried to get in that cold tub today, okay, and failed miserably.
You need a purpose of why you got in there.
Purpose to get in there. I also got my wife to send me over. I think it must have been about how many years ago now? 8 years ago. Getting into self-development, I wrote down my purpose, and I couldn't remember it off the top of my head by any means. I laminated it and put it on my desk. I had the sort of values engraved into like this bracelet that I've got as well, but it just goes to show that it took me about 2 weeks to write this paragraph out. I'll read it out and just see what you think. Okay, so it is to gain wisdom, gratitude, and knowledge. Enjoy and experience the most that life can offer. To smash fear. To provide a secure future for my family and pass down the wisdom, gratitude, and knowledge. To have the time and energy and to enjoy family life, loves and laughs at any stage of life. And to have the courage and to have the courage to consistently self-assess and persist in this purpose. Okay, the last bit for me is the hardest bit, is to consistently self-assess yourself, can sometimes be hard, and to persist. Persist is the hardest one because that purpose can't just be for a week or 2 weeks. It needs to be for a long time. And that I read that out, and it took me, I think it was probably a Tony Robinson course that I did, or went online or something. I know you've done a few of them as well. He recommends it on there. From that, you know, you can go back to it. Okay, so what can you take from a quick snap? How is that going to guide my plans for the future? Well, I've got to be grateful. Okay, I'm trying to gain wisdom, which means I'm going to learn from other people's mistakes and my own mistakes. I'm trying to gain knowledge. Okay, so that's there as well. Smash fear, so jumping into stuff that I hate, like the ice bath.
Cold water.
Okay, stuff like that. Have the time and energy to spend with my family, to enjoy life. So it means that I'm not going to sacrifice all my time to say work a job where I can bring home loads of money, but I won't get to see my family. Okay, so stuff like that is going to guide myself in that, and to always self-assess, which is going to help me stay on track, and to persist in that. So that's shaped my future in, okay, my job roles, it needs to align with my family values and all that kind of stuff. So I think having that purpose, as we said before, will guide your future goals as well. And as they shift, you can be like, well, if I chase this goal, is it going to take too much away from my family time and from all this other stuff that I'm trying to chase? And am I grateful? Am I being wise by doing some of the decisions I make? You know, that purpose actually was just written, and I think I had my son just after, and then I quit drinking. So, you know, that could have been part of the reason why all that would have happened, because of that purpose that was behind it. So if you can take a bit of time just to think about what it is, and it's only got to be small, I would suggest that.
Mate, so I didn't know that Ricky was going to do that. Like, he was going to ring his wife and get that sent over. And I got goosebumps when he just read that out, because, and I'm not making this up, like this morning, my alarm went off at 5:15, and I went through my phone like I do every morning, just trying to see what I've got on for the day and going through my routine. And I thought, right, I'm going to go in my notes and just tidy stuff up, because I hate clutter, and there's loads of stuff I knew I had to delete. And I've got a folder in my notes called Kaizen, which is what we talked about just now.
Yeah, that's true.
And what does that say?
Oh my God.
It says my life's purpose, right? You won't be able to see this in a camera, but I'm going to read mine too. And I honestly don't remember what it was I've written, because I hadn't read it for so long, but this is what it says. My life's purpose is to fully understand myself, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and to push myself every day to unleash my unlimited potential and to become the ultimate version of myself, whilst also helping others to do the same. To achieve that, I will learn as much as I can, teach as much as I can, earn as much as I can, help as much as I can, and take every opportunity that comes my way to be better and to do better. My mission is to create a phenomenal legacy, teach and coach others, and to leave the world in a better place than I found it. That's mental, mate. I literally
That is crazy.
haven't opened that since, well, the first time I opened it was this morning for a long time, and then you did the same thing. It's the stars have aligned.
That's
and
it.
mine was from a Tony Robbins course too.
Wow,
That's
that's
when
good.
I first wrote that a couple of years ago
Yeah.
in one of his seminars. I think it was in Florida when I did it.
Yeah, and you can see, like, you know, I think we're well, you know, I'm reasonably successful. I don't know about Mark, okay? I'm
Hey,
joking.
come on, bro. Jeez.
But you can see how that has sort of shaped. We didn't today. We said about what we're going to talk about his purpose. I didn't know that he did that. He didn't know that I wrote down that 8-9 years ago. But you can see how you'll meet those people on the path, but it just takes a long time. It took us 10 years or whatever to meet before we even wrote that, and now you start to find these people that are aligned with your purposes and goals. And I think that's very similar to mine. You know, it covers all the stuff we talked about today. So same as me, I didn't know mine off by heart. Mark didn't know his, but if you went back and listened to all of that, it's all the stuff we talked about to teach others, to gain knowledge and all that kind of stuff, which is both sort of on the same path of exactly what we mean. So even though you won't remember that purpose thing off heart or whatever, or by every word, you'll know the rough meaning of it, okay?
Yeah.
What you're trying to achieve
Yeah.
by writing that purpose out.
So, take the time. You know, we don't have any specific technique for doing it. Just Google how to find my purpose. Spend some time sitting down, thinking about it. And it does take time, and it's different for different people, but just commit to taking that time to sit down and try and figure it out. Now, do you want to end on 5 benefits of knowing your purpose?
Yep,
just for
do
those
it.
who aren't quite converted yet?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, number 1, increased motivation. So, you know, if you know what your purpose is, like if you have a goal, you know what the goal is, things will get difficult, as they always do on the journey to achieving anything. But if you know, this is, I guess, knowing your why. If you know why you're doing it, your motivation is higher. And on the days where things are difficult, reverting back to that, you know, why am I doing this? What is my purpose? I find always helps to get you back on track and give you that boost when you need it.
Yeah, it's not just for yourself, it's for others as well. So it does help motivate you a lot more.
Yeah. Number 2, enhanced well-being. So it says here, knowing your purpose gives your life a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. I'd agree with that 100%.
I would as well. And I think it's important. I can only speak from a man's perspective, but I assume it's for both. If you don't know where you're going, it's like I get like an anxious feeling if I'm like not sure what I'm doing this year. I'm like, fucking hell, like
Yeah.
I need that purpose to be like, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm aiming for. It's too much of a vast fucking life span to have and not know where you're going and what your purpose is. So definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and it says here about giving you a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. You said earlier, you know, you could be doing this job, earning all this money and, you know, work. But if you're not happy and it's not aligned with your purpose and your values and your overall mission, you're not going to get a sense of fulfillment out of it.
No.
And, you know what? I genuinely don't think if you say like, oh, do you want £150,000 a year job, Mark, doing this? And as soon as they told me what it was, I'm like, that's not really my thing. I wouldn't do it.
No.
I'd rather earn half that, which is still a good wage, but you know, doing something that I love to do and that was aligned with my values. We mentioned this earlier. You know, knowing your purpose can help in your decision making. So the decisions that you make will be aligned with where you're going. And generally, I think that they're better decisions. They're smarter decisions. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to rush a decision because you're always going to revert back to that. So, okay, is my purpose to spend time with my family as well as trying to achieve other things? Well, that means if someone says to you, can you come and party with me for 2 weeks in Ibiza, you're probably going to say no because it's not going to align with that. So it helps you make smarter decisions, and you can sort of... again, the way I see it is the guiding light. Because for all the chaos, you need that thing that's going to be there just guiding you. Because it's going to get dark and shit at times. You need that thing that's there. Purpose will be that thing.
And that leads on to the next point, which was, you know, it gives you increased resilience. Because if you just always revert back to, why am I doing this? What's my purpose? Then the things that are difficult don't seem so difficult. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and if it's all just, if you're doing it just for yourself or sometimes just for money and value stuff, it's not enough. It's not enough because it gets fucking difficult. Whether that's in like, you know, sometimes just general life with kids, family, business, trying to do sports, trying to do everything else. You know, you might have a family member that gets ill. You know, you might get ill yourself. You might not fail in one of your goals. It gets difficult. You need that resilience behind you to sort of build that for a long time, and that purpose is going to give you that resilience. So I think if you're not converted by now, you should be. Just take 5 minutes out of your day and just have a think about it. And it's like planting a seed. You know, you could do just, I wonder what my purpose is. Have a little think about it for a few days, and then just set yourself up an hour on a Sunday evening to have another think about it, and then an hour the week after, and then maybe you write down a little sentence, and then maybe that becomes your thing that motivates you. Because, you know, when you see people online, then they're always motivated, they're always at bed, they're always doing stuff, they're always pushing. And underneath that, it's not motivation, it'll be a deeper purpose that's driving them.
Yeah. And the last one, you mentioned this just now, it can help foster positive relationships. It helps you connect with people who share similar values, goals, mindsets. You just somehow gravitate, like we said, gravitate towards each other. We just read those two statements. We didn't even know we were going to do it, and they're very similar. And we're on, you know, we do have a very similar mindset and very similar values. So it'll help you find your people.
Yes, and you know that, like, you imagine you with that. What? How many years ago would you say?
Probably 7 or 8.
Yeah, probably about my same 7 or 8 years ago. I was in Chepstow. You would have been probably in Plymouth somewhere, not even knowing each other, not knowing nothing about each other. But eventually, you know, you keep that guiding principles in your life, purpose, and then you end up. Eventually, you build a full team of these awesome humans that are around, and then you grow together, and then you're passing that purpose on.
Yep.
And remember, it's about helping others as well. I think that's important, not just yourself.
Yeah. So I'm going to spend some time now helping Ricky not to be such a wuss and to get in the ice bath for more than 5 seconds.
I don't think it's for me. I don't know. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try. I'm going to try for at least 6 weeks to do it every once a week just to see if I can do it. I know all the benefits of it. The lads that have set it up are awesome. But I just love the heat. I love a hot bath. I love a sauna.
That's right, mate. When you're struggling, I'll bring my 10-year-old daughter in to show you how to do it properly.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you all on the next episode of the Beyond Limits podcast.
Boom.